Dustin Pedroia might be one of the most interesting and exciting players in the past generation. The Laser Show was one of the most exciting players in Boston and won the hearts of not only the fans there, but across Major League Baseball with his play and enthusiasm. Now heading into the end of 2024, Pedroia will be eligible for the Hall of Fame ballot for the first time this year. Injuries really hampered his career, but there's no doubt that he played at an MVP level. That's why he won the award. In this video, we're going to dive into everything Dustin Pedroia did in his career and see whether he actually deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of players who, if injuries didn't get in the way, would have ended up in the Hall, and Pedroia might be that case. Although we'll see a little bit that there are some faults to his game, maybe those can be overcome and Pedroia can end up a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt that he's a legend in Boston and around a lot of people in their 20s to 30s, as Pedroia was a player that they looked up to and admired. There's no doubt that he has a place in a lot of baseball fans' hearts, and there's the potential for him to be a Hall of Famer in the process. In this video, we'll dive into Dustin Pedroia's career not only in Major League Baseball, but before that as well, and evaluate his candidacy for Cooperstown. There's no doubt he is a legend in his own right, but that doesn't guarantee you a spot and a plaque among baseball's great. He has a lot of potential to get in, but there's also a lot of things that are hampering him from achieving baseball's greatest feat. Before we begin, it would mean a ton if you would go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It shows you that you like what I make and will get you more content not only from me, but from awesome baseball creators out there as well. Go ahead and let me know in the comments as well if you think Dustin Pedroia belongs in the Hall of Fame or if you think he's going to get in or get left out. Without further ado, let's dive into the wonderful career of Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia entered high school as a two-sport athlete.
And the pass is tipped and it's Matthews, and there's Briggs.
5'2", 140 at the time, and so it made sense that football was not going to be his thing. He transitioned full-time to baseball after that, and it turned out to be the right decision. Due to his size, D1 offers for baseball were hard to come by for Pedroia. Arizona State, however, wouldn't hesitate, and they offered Pedroia a full scholarship to go play shortstop there. He was teammates with former All-Stars Ian Kinsler and Andre Ethier, and he ended up beating out Kinsler for the shortstop position at ASU, causing Kinsler to transfer to the University of Missouri. At that time, after his freshman year, he had a friend, Ben Thurman, who was a JC pitcher who was recruited by Arizona State but didn't have a scholarship. Pedroia's family, who owned a tire shop and worked 14-hour days, were willing to pay Pedroia's scholarship to go to ASU in order to get Ben Thurman to go with the Sun Devils. Pedroia's family could afford it, and it's not like they were rich, they just worked hard, and Thurman's family couldn't, so it made sense to go ahead and push for a College World Series championship to get Thurman on the staff. Although ASU didn't win the College World Series, it turned out to be a good addition for the staff, as Thurman pitched to an 8-0 record and a 2.73 ERA in his only season at ASU in 2003. He was named an All-Pac-10 honorable mention and was drafted in the 15th round of the 2006 draft by the San Francisco Giants. However, he never made it past AA. Pedroia, on the other hand, was phenomenal at ASU, becoming a freshman All-American, had the Pac-10 doubles record, was co-Pac-10 Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year twice, was a 2-time first-team All-American and a finalist for the Golden Spikes Award, which is basically the baseball equivalent of the Heisman. After getting almost no interest coming out of high school from D1 schools, things were looking up for Pedroia. The Red Sox also liked what they saw and chose him with the 65th overall pick in the draft, becoming their second-round pick and signing for $575,000. Pedroia shot his way through the minors and finally made his Major League debut in 2006. At only 22 years old, his first Major League cup of coffee didn't go great. A 191 batting average is below the Mendoza line, and an OPS plus of 42 is certainly not great. It's also his only stint as a shortstop in his Major League time. The rest of his time was at second base, and the rest became history. His 2007 became one for the records books. A 371 batting average, 380 on base, 444 slugging for 112 on base percentage, and he walked almost 1% more than he struck out. Those are great numbers for anyone, let alone a 23-year-old who's playing in Boston. That led to be a Rookie of the Year award winner, and he quickly established himself as one of the most exciting players in baseball. That was compounded by his diving stop to save Clay Buchholz's no-hitter, and a bunch of playoff heroics en route to his first World Series ring. 5 RBIs in the Game 7 against the Indians in the ALCS, and also a leadoff home run against the Rockies in their sweep in the World Series. His success was compounded in 2008 as he led Major League Baseball with 54 doubles and 213 hits. putting up an impressive 326, 376, 493 slash line for 127 weighted runs created plus. He was also 20 for 21 on stolen base attempts and got 4.9 base running runs above average, showing that not only was he great offensively, but could also do great things on the base pass. Defensively, he had 9.7 ultimate zone rating, which is very impressive, especially for someone at second base. Nowadays, you're lucky to get even 10 players in all of baseball above that number. Pedroia became the first Red Sox second baseman to win a Silver Slugger, won his first Gold Glove award, en route to winning MVP for the American League. He became just the third player to win Rookie of the Year and then MVP in the following season, following Cal Ripken Jr., Ryan Howard, and later, Chris Bryant. That's some really elite company that Pedroia is with. He became the first second baseman to win American League MVP since Nellie Fox in 1959. Although the Red Sox did end up losing to the Tampa Bay Rays in the ALCS, things were looking up for Pedroia. He parlayed this MVP performance with a 6-year, $40.5 million extension in the offseason with a team option for $11 million in 2015, a World Baseball Classic appearance for Team USA where he unfortunately had to pull out due to a muscle strain in his left leg, and the cover athlete for MLB The Show, which had some interesting commercials to advertise it. 2009 was another successful season, just not to the same extent as 2008. A 296, 371, 447 slash line was good enough for an All-Star Game appearance and a 110 OPS plus, but he didn't get a single MVP vote and didn't win the Gold Glove or Silver Slugger that year as well. He also ended up missing out on the All-Star Game as his wife Kelly had some pregnancy complications with their first child, but thankfully things turned out okay.
In fact, if I were to die today and I went to some weird limbo afterlife where I could only gaze upon one thing for all eternity, Dustin's swing, or my daughter's first steps, I would choose the swing.
2010 got off to a good start for Pedroia, also earning another All-Star Game performance before in Game 73 he fouled a ball off his foot in a game against the Giants and got taken off the All-Star Game roster because of the injury. Who was he replaced by? None other than Ian Kinsler. He came back to play in 2 more games before heading back to the disabled list, rendering his season a wash after just 75 games. Still solid numbers, a 288, 367, 493 slash line led to a 127 OPS plus, his best of his career at that point, and it looked like Pedroia was heading into his late 20s as one of the best second basemen in all of baseball and someone who would establish himself as a potential Hall of Famer if he could keep up this pace. Thankfully, the injury bug hadn't hit yet, so we still got a couple more seasons of really good Dustin Pedroia. Despite only finishing 9th in MVP voting, Pedroia might have had his best season in 2011. His strong return from injury started with a 307, 387, 473 slash line with a 131 OPS plus and a career-high 21 home runs and 26 stolen bases. That led to 8 BWAR and an 18.1 UZR was among the top in the league. He won a Gold Glove and the Fielding Bible Award for the best second baseman in Major League Baseball. Remember when they used to do Fielding Bible Awards? Coming off his second Gold Glove in 2011, Pedroia's 2012 was characterized by a lot of minor injuries that hampered his ability to play to his elite potential. Did that make him a below-average player? Not at all. A 290 batting average, 347 on base, 449 slugging led to a 114 OPS plus, and he was an above-average defender as well. Unfortunately, the adductor strain and right thumb strain just made his toll, and he wasn't able to reach the same heights as he had in a couple seasons prior. Pedroia broke his left ring finger before his final 2 games against the New York Yankees that year, but still went on to play. Pedroia loved playing the Yankees, and although it was a respectful relationship, Pedroia never hid that he did not like the Yankees and took joy in beating them. He loved the city of Boston, and although he was from California, he adopted the team spirit and the passion for baseball. Pedroia made this clear in 2010 after umpire Joe West made a statement that the speed of play between the Yankees and Red Sox were always painfully slow and horrible to umpire. Pedroia responded saying, well, if you don't want to, you don't have to play any Red Sox games, and when we're in the World Series, I guess you won't get that assignment either. He loved to go ahead and boast how successful the Red Sox were, but not necessarily in a disrespectful way, but more of a proud way. Pedroia encapsulated the pride of Boston, and quotes like this make it apparent that the city loved him and he loved the city in playing for the Red Sox. That passion could not be more evident in 2013 after tearing his UCL on opening day sliding into first base, and he played in 160 games after that. He didn't elect to have surgery until November in the offseason after the Red Sox had already won a World Series. He played in 160 regular season games plus the entire postseason up until they won the championship with that torn UCL, and still put up phenomenal numbers. A .301 batting average, .372 on base, .415 slugging for a .115 OPS, and also was dominant on the defensive side of the ball, winning a Gold Glove Award, his second Fielding Bible Award, and the Wilson Overall Defensive Player of the Year for the American League. That parlayed into an All-Star Game appearance, a 7th place AL MVP finish, and the Heart and Hustle Award, which is an MLB-wide award voted on by management, players, and other people in the MLB industry for the player that best embodies the values and traditions of the game. Pedroia played with a passion and excitement and riled up fans not only in Boston but around the country, and became someone that players all around the world would look up to. Pedroia's 2014 was characterized by a left hand injury that kept him out a month and recessed his offensive numbers to be about league average. His defense, though, never suffered. Even though he was out a full month, he still won the Gold Glove Award for the American League second baseman, his 4th and final of his career, and placing him in sole possession of the most Gold Gloves won by a Red Sox infielder in history, and that record still stands. Once his left wrist healed, he ended up getting injured to his hamstring twice in 2015 and missing about 3 months and limiting his defensive ability now. He was still an average defender, but he wasn't the same elite defender that he was for almost a decade prior. Entering 2016, at age 32, things were looking interesting for Pedroia. He had just come off a great defensive season and then a solid offensive season, so it would be left to see if he could put it all together, and 2016 was exactly that. He returned to basically normal, playing in 154 games, putting up a very respectable .318, .376, .449 slash line, and a .117 OPS, his best since 2011. He won another Fielding Bible Award and won the Wilson Defensive Player of the Year for Major League second baseman. Things were looking up for Pedroia until in the offseason he had surgery on his left knee to repair his meniscus and cartilage. This marked the beginning of the end for Pedroia's career, and that left knee would continue to be an issue. This was only exacerbated at the beginning of 2017 when Manny Machado slid into second base and hit Dustin Pedroia. This is one of the most famous plays of the 2010s, and it really significantly impacted Pedroia's future. People then marketed Manny Machado as a dirty player. Whether you still believe that or not is up to your prerogative, but that narrative stuck for a very long time around Machado after injuring Pedroia again. His knee was in very bad shape up to this point before the slide, but there's no doubt that that slide definitely had significant negative impacts on Pedroia's playing career. A left wrist sprain in May also limited his ability, and those knee issues continued to come up throughout the season, and he missed over a month and a half because of that. He was about league average offensively that year, a .293 batting average, .369 on base, .394 slugging for a .101 OPS plus is basically exactly league average, and he finished that offseason with a complete cartilage restoration in that left knee. 2018, he missed the start of the season and only played in 3 regular season games before going back on the disabled list, but he still got his World Series ring with the Red Sox when they ended up winning the World Series over the Dodgers that year. 2019, that left knee injury continued to hamper him, and he only played in 6 games, and before the 2020 pandemic-shortened season, a significant setback because of the knee happened, and he didn't play a single game. Pedroia announced his retirement in February of 2021, and the Red Sox were swift to announce that he would be a part of their 2022 Hall of Fame class on June 25th. Since Pedroia last played in 2019, he's now eligible to be part of the 2025 MLB Hall of Fame class that will be voted on at the end of this year. He's put together a phenomenal career. A Rookie of the Year, 4 All-Star Game appearances, 4 Gold Gloves, 3 finishes of the top 10 of MVP voting, a Silver Slugger, and a couple amazing defensive performances as well. He has a bunch of iconic moments, from saving Clay Buchholz's no-hitter to his home runs at the beginning of the World Series. Pedroia is without a doubt a star, and his impact on Boston and on Major League Baseball has definitely been felt. His numbers, at least his counting stats, are definitely lacking as well, especially compared to a lot of other Hall of Famers. He hasn't cracked 2,000 hits, his batting average is just below 300, his OPS plus is only 113, he has only driven in 725 RBIs, and granted some of that is because he led off a lot of the time, but still those numbers aren't super exciting. If you take out his 2 years at the end in 2018-2019, his 31 games in 2006, he's only played 11 seasons, and a couple of those were hampered with injuries as well. Has Pedroia really played a full career? In terms of wins above replacement, Pedroia would rank 13th out of 19 players who played at least 60% of their games at second base in terms of Hall of Famers. He has 51.9 B-WAR, and that would be above players like Nellie Fox or Bill Mazeroski, but as a second baseman, that can be a little bit challenging. For instance, Craig Biggio was the first player who was a part of the 300 hit club. He also played 60% of his games at second base, not elected on the first ballot of a Hall of Fame. This might be an uphill battle for Pedroia, especially with a lot of those counting stats not really showing a lot of pop. He has the accolades, 3 World Series rings, an MVP, a Rookie of the Year, and he definitely has fan support and a lot of people backing him. He didn't piss off a lot of people in the media, which can also be a challenge a la Roger Clemens, but Pedroia is a very interesting case. It's obvious he would have got in without injuries, and he might have done just enough to get in regardless. With that being said, the fact he led off at the top of the order, and the fact that he doesn't have a ton of true big hitting stats is really going to hurt his candidacy. I think at the very least, if he doesn't get in, he'll probably be a 10-year guy, somebody who's on the ballot every year accruing votes, but I don't know if he's going to get in. We'll see what people think at the end of this year, but there's without a doubt a lot of excitement about Dustin Pedroia potentially getting to the Hall of Fame around Boston. Is he worthy of the Hall of Fame? That's not for me to decide. As much as I'd love to have a vote, and I probably would vote him in as there's a lot of personal love for Pedroia and the way he played the game, I don't think he does. At the end of the day, there's a lot of really awesome writers who are going to make the decision, and although people question what they do every year, I think at the end of the day, Pedroia will either get in, rightfully so, or he'll be left out, rightfully so. There's not really a right answer because it's obvious he was a great baseball player during his time, but injuries really hampered his ability to make it. One thing is for certain, Dustin Pedroia left a lasting impact on the game of Major League Baseball, on the city of Boston, on me and countless other baseball fans around there, and whether he is a Hall of Famer or not, whether there's a plaque that shows his face, his name, and a short biography of him in Cooperstown is irrelevant. The impact he's made on countless lives is immeasurable, and the impact Dustin Pedroia will continue to have is huge. He was one of my favorite players growing up, and I'm sure a lot of people can say the same thing. He lit up the city of Boston for over a decade and made Major League Baseball better. Whether you make it in the Hall or not, Pedroia is the kind of player that you want to root for. Whether it's David Ortiz thinking his name was Pee-wee for almost a decade to the countless plays that Pedroia made on the field, people have so many great memories of Pedroia, and his impact on baseball will live on forever. Kids often dream about making it into Cooperstown, and although that might not happen for Pedroia, it's without a doubt that he has had a pronounced impact on the game, and getting a plaque is not a requirement for making a huge change and impacting many lives. That's exactly what Pedroia did, and I'm very excited to see how these next 10 years of candidacy are going to go. He definitely has the potential to get in, and now it's up to the Baseball Writers Association of America to make the decision. Hopefully they make the right one, and whether that's getting in or being left out, Pedroia, without a doubt, is a legend in the minds of baseball fans across America. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video on one of my favorite players of all time. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and there's going to be a lot more interesting content like this coming up and already published, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel to get that, not only from me, but from awesome other creators out there as well. Without further ado, I will see you in the next video.